What the Turkish Prime Minister saw very clearly today was that he had the world's complete attention. The press conference that he convened was translated simultaneously into English. It was opened up to the international press. And what he wanted to say was, everyone has now seen the action that Israel took against this flotilla in the Mediterranean international waters. Everyone now understands, in the Turkish eyes, what Israel is capable of. Most countries have done something in one way or another to condemn the Turkish actions. So he's saying, now you're watching, now you see things the way we do, it's time to do something about it. Israel, he said, is the country that has shed its allies through its reckless actions. Israel is the country that's been let off the hook by the UN Security Council sequentially when they've not enforced the resolutions against it. Israel is the country that has been protected by its powerful friends, and he specifically referenced a telephone call he's going to have with President Obama later on in the day.
According to a former legal advisor to the Israeli army, Israel had every right to send in armed troops, even on international waters.
Israel publicized this blockade in the internationally acceptable channels, and also made it very clear to the organizers of this flotilla that the blockade was in place. And there's a rule in international law which says that if there is a very clear attempt being made to breach a blockade, and even if the ships on the way to bust the blockade are outside the blockaded area, i.e. in international waters, they may still be intercepted.
Now let's talk facts. And these are the facts, so listen up. What this spin doctor isn't telling you is that for a blockade to be declared legal under international maritime law, that blockade has to be approved by the Security Council. Now, they might have went through the proper channels to declare that blockade, but it was not approved by the Security Council. Actually, the entire siege and partial occupation of the Gaza Strip has been declared illegal under Resolution 242 of the UN Security Council. To put it simply, a blockade does not legitimize the boarding of a ship in international waters when the blockade itself is deemed a war crime by the United Nations. Also, Israel could have legally boarded that ship if they had officially declared war with Gaza, but they refuse to declare war with Gaza because then they would have to comply by the Geneva Convention and treat the Palestinians a lot more humanely than they currently are. Israel is a country that is in more human rights violations than all the other UN countries combined. Anyway, those are the facts, and I'll provide the links at the bottom so you can check those through the official channels. Now I'm just going to talk generally about the entire situation. Now, if we had sent in our boys, if the British had sent in the SAS to do this job, I can assure you, even though there might have been some casualties, there would have been 0 deaths. Because as trained elite soldiers, they know how to use tear gas, they know how to go for non-lethal shots in the arm and the leg, and after the first 3 casualties, they probably know how to stop firing. 20 deaths. That's excessive by any standards. That's putting your weapons on automatic and indiscriminately firing into crowds. And it's absolutely appalling that Israel's first response was, oh, we were attacked first, we were just defending ourselves. The aid workers had wooden sticks and slingshots against fully armoured commandos that should have known how to use non-lethal force. They're supposed to be commandos after all. The whole thing stinks. It's an absolute fucking farce. Nobody else has said it, so I'll be the first to say it. This wasn't self-defense because they were the aggressors in the first place. This was an execution. 20 people dead, humanitarian aid workers. 20. This was Israel sending a message to the rest of the world not to aid Gaza. That's exactly what this was. You know, a couple of days ago we had a bunch of people online drawing pictures of Muhammad because they felt their free speech was threatened. Well, here we have human rights activists being murdered by a country that bulldozes houses, bombs schools, and cuts off the electricity supply to hospitals. Yeah, the right to free speech should be a human right, but also the right to life is more important. The right to movement, the right to basic freedom, let alone freedom of speech. How many of you fuckers that were drawing those immature little photos are now all up in arms about this incident? Fuck all. That's how many. You fucking make me sick. Anyway, I'm getting a bit carried away, so I'm just gonna leave off by saying, as Martin Luther King once said, justice is indivisible. Oppression anywhere is a threat to freedom everywhere.